Good morning and welcome to our webinar on IP performance for the month of July. Today we will be covering some very interesting topics, but let's start with looking at what is it that we will be covering today. So first we will be looking at the IP performance for the month. Then we will be looking at for the key therapy areas. Then we will be looking at the growth drivers. We will be also doing a little in-depth analysis of the growth levers for the month across different molecules and molecular combinations. We look at the top 40 corporates, top 40 brands, and the key takeaways. So if I were to look at the IPM therapy performance for the month, the IPM has grown at around 6.1%. Unit growth remains a challenge. Four key therapies among the top 10, the cardiac, the anti-infectives, the gastro, and the respiratory segment have driven the growth of the market by showing excellent value growths. When we come to the growth drivers, as I said, volumes are a challenge, but then the market is majorly showing a price and new introduction driven growth. If I were to drill down deeper and look at the different therapies, we see that the anti-infective therapy and the respiratory therapy, these are the two therapies where the volume growths are on a positive side. All other therapies, majorly, the volume growth is on a negative side. The anti-infective therapies and the respiratory therapies have the advantage of the seasonal disease pattern, which has led to increase in demand of the molecules in this category. Now, what we will be doing is we will be doing a little in-depth analysis of the growth levers for the month. Before going directly to the tables and numbers, let us look at the approach, what we have followed. So there are three levers of market growth: the volume, price, and new products. In volume, we exclude any new products launch. So this looks at the actual demand, increase in demand of the existing products. Price increase or decrease, that leads to either increase or decrease in the growth of the market. And new products. So new launches which have happened in the last 12 months, how they have driven the growth of the category. We have focused more on the volume and new product driven growth in this analysis. When we selected the sub-super groups and the subgroups, we looked at three core points. We looked only at the ones where the turnover for the month is rupees 10 crore and above, where volumes have contributed to more than 50% of the overall growth. So if the total growth is 15 and the volume driven growth is 10%, then we have considered that category. And new products driven growth is more than 2%. Now this 2% is a very relative term. Some people would say that no, new introduction contribution has to be 5%. So it's up to each person on how they take it as the attractive aspect. We have not considered volume growth over here if it is negative, and subgroups which have been launched in the last 24 months that have shown good performance, we have selected them. Here we have not put a cap on the monthly turnover. Number of new brands launched in the last 24 months for subgroups whose growth is driven by new products or new launch subgroups have also been looked into. Let us first look at the overall, how does it look? So overall in the Indian pharma market, what we are seeing is the new product driven growth is majorly contributing to the growth of the categories. Now I am not considering price. Keeping besides price, amongst volume and new products, what is driving growth? It is the anti-infective segment where the volume driven growth is robust and on a relatively higher side. Looking at the next 20 categories also, we see a similar thing where in good number of places, it is the new introductions that are driving the growth of the market. In today's presentation, we may not look into all of these therapy areas. We will look at the top 10 or top 11, which contribute to almost 90% of the Indian pharma market. Coming to the cardiac category, it is the lipid-lowering drugs, the diuretics, the heparins, the antithrombotic agents, the heart failure therapies, the anti-hypertension agents, the varicose therapy, fibrinolytics, and other cardiovascular products, which have shown either a strong volume-driven growth or a new introduction-driven growth or both. Now, what has pulled down the growth of the cardiac therapy is the antihypertensives, because they contribute to almost 50% to this therapy. Of course, it's not that the volumes are going down, but since these are products which are taken on regular basis, a good amount of sales of these products goes to online, which may not be getting captured here. Coming to the molecules which have shown robust volume-driven growth for the month are the atorvastatin plus aspirin, enoxaparin, tenecteplase, and the ubidecarb. Also, if I were to look at new introduction-driven growth, in many of the places, what we see is for molecules like sacubitril plus valsartan, cilnidipine plus telmisartan, cilnidipine, metoprolol, telmisartan. These are the places where good number of new introductions have come into picture. Also, apixaban is one molecule where almost 20 new introductions have happened. New molecules which have come into the market in the last 2 years, in the last 2 years are finerenone and vericiguat with just two brands, but then they have made or managed to make a substantial dent in the market today. Coming to the gastro category, again, if you look at the oral electrolytes, they have shown a sizable growth at an overall level, and majority of the growth is contributed by the existing brands. Of course, since it is rainy season, monsoon and summer are the seasons for the oral electrolytes. Many players also venture into this market. So antacids, probiotics, drugs for hepatobiliary disorders, digestive enzymes, oral electrolytes, antiplatelets, and drugs for irritable bowel syndrome are the ones which are strong in either volume growth or new introduction growth or both. Coming to the high value molecules where the existing volumes have driven the growth of the market, it is the ursodeoxylic acid, which is a bigger molecule. This is the monthly turnover. Then we have lactulose, we have ofloxacin plus ornitazole and ondansetron, which are the bigger molecules with a sizable volume growth. Maximum number of new introductions have happened in domperidone plus esomeprazole, probiotic microbes, and the calcium carbonate, sodium alginate, sodium bicarbonate market. Also, vonoprazan molecule, which has been launched just in June 24, we have seen close to 17 players that have entered in this market. And in last 2 months, the molecule is almost a 6 crore market. Not all of these 17 crores would have been able to make the most of the opportunity, but yes, there would be certain early entrants who would have been able to make most of this molecular opportunity. Coming to the anti-infectives category, a strong seasonal pattern seen because this is the monsoon season. If you see, majority of them have shown a strong volume-driven growth. If I were to look at which are the molecules, you will see all of them. The volume-driven growth is quite robust. The bigger molecules would be ceftriaxone, cefuroxime, amikacin. Then we have doxycycline. We also have voriconazole. These are the molecules which in terms of monthly turnover are also on a higher side and have managed to show a good volume growth. Paropenem is the only molecule where new introductions have been on a higher side. Coming to the anti-diabetic categories, since many of the molecules have lost patent, a lot of combinations have come into the market, not just with the combinations which the innovator molecules had, but then many Indian companies have created combinations of SGLT2, DPP4, and metformin. That's the reason why we see this rush of new introductions happening in the OAD combinations market. Of course, if you look at the high volume driven growth, it is semaglutide, wherein we have one strong player in this market, a very strong volume driven growth shown by semaglutide and degludec molecule. If you see the number of new introductions that have happened in the OAD market, you will see good number of introductions happening in the linagliptin, sitagliptin plus metformin market, DAPA plus sitagliptin market, sita-DAPA met market, linagliptin plain market. Also, in the last 12 months, several molecular combinations have entered in this market, and all of them have substantial number of brands entering this market. Sita-DAPA plus metformin is one molecular combination which has really picked up well, has managed to garner a turnover of close to 40 crores in just 2 years' time or less than 2 years' time. Coming to the nutritional segment, volumes is definitely a challenge over here. It is the new introductions which is driving the growth of this market. I would say the new introductions are slightly on a higher side rather than saying driving the growth of this market. If you see, maximum number of new introductions are happening in the multivitamins and minerals market, methylcobalamin combinations market, and polycalciferol market. Also, biotin combinations have also seen a good number of new introductions. Coming to the respiratory category, while the anti-asthma category shows a positive volume growth, the cough and cold market sees a challenge in the volume growth. Now, some of the molecules which are in terms of monthly turnover on a higher side and show a very good volume growth would be montelukast combination with levocetirizine. Then we have chlorpheniramine with dextromethorphan. They have shown, in terms of turnover also, they are very high and have shown a very good volume growth. Glycopyrronium with formoterol and budesonide has shown an excellent new introduction growth, with close to 5 new brands entering this market in the last 24 months. Coming to the fluticasone plus azilastine, even here we see close to 7 brands entering the market. Now, in case of the respiratory category, in the anti-asthma and COPD segment, we see close to 3 new molecular launches that have happened in the last 24 months, of which they have at least have a turnover of 1 crore or more. So this is also an attractive segment for good number of players today. Coming to the pain and analgesics category, the volume growth is a challenge. But then if you look at the drugs for rheumatoid arthritis and drugs for musculoskeletal disorders, over here we are seeing a new introduction driven growth. Analgesics is a challenge at an overall level, but then there are certain molecules in the analgesic segment which still continues to show a good volume driven growth, like paracetamol with nimesulide, ketorolac, chymotrypsin plus trypsin, or tapentadol. Now, as far as the maximum number of new introductions that are happening, we see it in the tofacitinib market, where close to 63 new players have entered this market. May 23 launch of polmacoxib is a market of around 4 crores today, with almost 15 players in this market. I'm sure not all 15 players have made the most of this market, but then yes, the early entrants would have definitely made the most of this market opportunity. Coming to the derma category, overall, the market volume growth is a challenge, but then it is the hair care products, the anti-allergics, products for atopic dermatitis, and medical derma products, which are strong on new product related growth. So if I were to look at high volume driven growth, it is the clotrimazole, it is the betamethasone plus phenol, and the third is cycloperox plus zinc pyrithione, where the volumes are also, value is good and the volume growth is stronger. Maximum number of new introductions are seen in the sunscreen segment, the luliconazole segment, the minoxidil segment. Also, in terms of emollients, we see a good number of new entrants in this segment. Coming to the neuro-CNS category, majority of the places it is the new introductions where the growth is positive. Drugs for neuropathic pain, anti-vertigo, anti-migraine, drugs for de-addiction, cerebral and peripheral vasotherapeutics, and drugs for peripheral neuropathy. These are the ones where the new introduction related growth is relatively stronger. For the high volume, it is only this zolpidem, for which is the hypnotic and sedative, where the volume driven growth is stronger. Other places where maximum number of new introductions have happened is the pregabalin, methylcobalamin, not the duloxetine plus pregabalin market, where more number of new introductions are being seen. In the neuro-CNS segment, in the last 2 years, good number of new molecular launches, plain as well as combinations are seen, where the volume value driven is also good, where, if I talk about sovateltide, there is just one brand from Sun Pharma, which has been launched, and it is in the last 1 year or less than 1 year, it's a 2 crore brand. Coming to the Gynaec segment, volumes remains a challenge. Now, in Gynaec segment, if I were to look at which is the most attractive molecule, it is the dydrogesterone, where new products have driven the growth significantly. Close to 58 players have entered this market in the last 24 months. Coming to the blood related, it's the anti-anemic preparations, especially after the exclusivity was lost for the ferric carboxy polymaltose. So, sorry, ferric carboxy maltose complex, after it lost its exclusivity, many new introductions have entered this market and managed to make the most of it. Epoetin, darbepoetin also are the products where the volume-driven growth is positive and a strong double-digit positive volume-driven growth. So this was more or less about the top 11 categories, the growth drivers, how they have behaved for the top 11 categories, which contribute to almost 90% of the market. To summarize, seasonality-driven molecules or molecular combinations have shown a relatively stronger volume-driven growth. Many molecules, molecular combinations show new product-driven growth, have several launches seen in the last 24 months, but only few of them have managed to grab a substantial chunk of the market. IPM has also seen some good new entries in terms of first-time molecules or combinations. We need to wait and watch their sustained performance over the next 12 months. Coming to the top 40 corporates, of course, all the top 20 corporates have done well in terms of value, but the ones which shine out are Torrent, Intas, USV, and Glenmark, which have shown a double-digit value growth for the month of July. The next set of companies which have shown a double-digit value growth for the month of July are FDC, Himalaya, Hetero, Bharat Serums, Forts, and Natco. All of them have shown a robust value-driven double-digit growth. Coming to the top 40 brands, Augmentin and Glycomed GP sustained their number 1 and number 2 position in the market for PAT as well as month period. However, we also need to look at certain brands like Leu 52, Rosuais, Monosef, Udiliv, Thyronorm, Budecort, which have managed to show a double-digit growth in terms of value as well as units. Coming to the next 20 brands, it's Pandy, Pantop, Electrol, Ribelsis, Tresiba. All of them have shown excellent value as well as unit growth for the month of July. To summarize how the IPM has performed for this month, the IPM has shown a value growth of close to 6 points of the therapy showing a positive value. New introductions and price growth have continued to be positive, where volume growth is negative for the month of July. For the month of July, majority of the top players have shown encouraging value growth. Many of them have shown a double-digit growth. Augmentin and Glycomed GP continue to retain their leadership position. Thank you very much for joining us today for this IPM presentation, IPM performance review for the month of July. I hope you found the analysis made today on the entire growth driver, levers of growth drivers useful. Kindly send us your feedback on that and have a very nice week ahead. Thank you so much.